Sometimes you face history and you make it. Nuggets lead Lakers 3-0. This is Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us your first listen. We appreciate you guys being with us on all platforms. Apple Podcasts, where you can leave a 5-star review, Spotify, or checking us out on YouTube, where you can join. Man, is it a loud bunch tonight already. We got a lot of folks hopping in the chat here on a Sunday night. Calvin Wong, 55555-ish, Justin Dane, Vincent DeGiulio, Flo HSOJ, Nick Johnson, Daniel Fenning, so many folks hanging out with us on YouTube. Appreciate you guys being part of the show. YouTube is the best way for you to support the show. Hit the like and subscribe button there. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. His name is Adam Mares. He's director of content for DNVR. He and I have been covering the Nuggets for a long time. Adam, the Denver Nuggets had the best win in franchise history. I'm getting chills.
I had it yesterday, man. I'm telling you, at the bar, in the closing minutes, I actually had goosebumps on my arms, like huge goosebumps. And I couldn't believe it. I don't think that's ever happened to me before.
119-108 in Los Angeles. Nuggets lead Lakers 3-0. No team in NBA history has come back from down 3-0. On today's show, we'll talk about it. We will talk again to all the angles. We'll talk about the makeup of this team, about what it means, about what it says. Try and put everything in perspective. Adam, let's go to the game first. There's a lot of different angles to hit here. There is Jamal's early start. There is the sequence with KCP hanging in when Jokic
big time sequence.
Yeah. We're gonna a second segment, like late. We got to carve out 2 minutes for me to take the Jeff Green victory lap that I've been waiting for 7 years through all of a million minus 16 games. I kind of want to start with the 2-man game is where I kind of want to start.
Really?
I don't know whether to start with that or a simple conversation about.
Hold on. Why did the Nuggets win Game 3 in your opinion? So is it the 2-man game?
No, you're right.
Why did they win Game 3?
Well, one, they're better.
That's accurate, I would say.
They're better. This team has a mentality of unlike any Nuggets team I've ever seen that touches on very, very few teams have this kind of mindset approach 1 through 7. Just all their guys are ready, able, willing, and quite frankly, unfazed in the biggest moments, which crack so many players.
Yeah. I mean, toughness to me, I put it on Twitter tonight as I'm watching Miami just stomp the Celtics. These are the two toughest teams. Miami and Denver are the two toughest teams. I'm not saying best, most talented, most complete, whatever, but they're just the toughest. And this maybe people I see a lot of people, I think because Denver's winning, then the narrative shifts from Denver will never beat these teams to it's a down year. There's not a lot of teams.
Yeah.
It happened really quick. But I think one thing that is accurate about that is I think that there are fewer tough teams than usual. Yeah. Or the tough teams just weren't good this year. One of the two. Milwaukee, I think, was a tough team, and they got beat early on. But you look at some of these other teams, including the Lakers, and I just think they hit a wall. To me, it wouldn't have been that, though. To me, it would have been fatigue, but that's part of toughness. Murray going off in the first half made them use a lot more energy than I think they were hoping to early because Denver built a big lead, and Murray was kind of making it easy on Denver. Denver wasn't having to work that hard. Murray was just incredible, and Denver built a lead. So the Lakers had to fight. Third quarter fight, and they just ran out of gas at the end of the third quarter, and you could kind of see it with Jokic not in. Jokic gets his 4th foul. By the way, total BS foul. I couldn't believe it, and a review, and it didn't get overturned. He goes to the bench, and you think, crap, the Lakers are going to have a 10-point lead going into the 4th. Not the case. They basically make up no ground. I think it was 2 points. But you could see on their faces we just used up all our punches. We're going to win this 4th quarter. It's going to be a miracle. And Denver just steamrolled. I feel like it was a steamrolling in the back half of the fourth quarter. But to me, that's what it was. They out endurance them.
There was a 13-0 run. There was a 13-0 run in a 1-point game.
Yeah.
Like it was back and forth and back and forth. And you and I talked about this before the series about how, and before game 3, about how LeBron has been in the situation and he knows when his team has it and when he doesn't. There's a sequence late in the game. He takes a 3-pointer and he misses and he holds the form on the 3. And like the Nuggets get the rebound and are starting to move up court and he's still standing there. And he just kind of drops his arm to the side and starts to jog back. There's another one where I think it was Schroeder, he hits and it goes out of bounds and he does like okay. Those same things that I've seen from him when he knows, can't do it. But maybe it was just this game, but like LeBron had and like this is to me is not like a recognition of like LeBron not having the heart of a chick. No, it's that LeBron is one of the smartest, most tactical minds ever to play the game, and LeBron is able to see the whole board and be like, they got us in checkmate. Like
that's kind of what it is. And I know like we'll talk later on about game 4 tomorrow, and what maybe might be a little bit different about it. But I think that was it, is it's one of those things. And the analysis of the Lakers coming into the series, even by smart basketball minds, guys, people I respect to analyze the Lakers, on a detailed X's and O's. When they were talking about some of the adjustments, I was always thinking of it in terms of this is what we could do, but not what would be the repercussions of Denver. So, for example, Jared Vanderbilt, we got to get him in the starting lineup. Jared Vanderbilt, because he's got the length to guard Murray. And what would we do to them when we could put length on Murray and this, that? And I kept thinking, if you can't score on Denver, they're going to kill you. Like, if you have to score on Denver, you have to get stops, but you can't expect a defensive battle because Denver just scores by accident, man. It's so hard to slow their offense down. And if you give them Jared Vanderbilt, that to me is a checkmate. And I was surprised how many smart analysts were pointing out like, hey, they should go there. They need to play Vanderbilt whenever Murray's on the court. And I'm thinking, man, that lets Denver off the hook. And that's how it played out. And not only that, let's go a step further. Let's talk about defensively. I pointed this out on the list, but in game 2 with Vanderbilt on Murray, the easiest switch to generate for the Nuggets is 1-5 pick and roll. And what Denver would do is just screen those guys. Sometimes, in fact, in the fourth quarter, the go-to, even though it wasn't Vando, the go-to was to have Jokic have the ball and do the inverted pick and roll. Yep. But when Vando was on the ball, it was too easy to get Anthony Davis switched on ball and then Jokic posting up Vando, which you want to talk about checkmate. That's a 100-pound size disadvantage against the MVP with your rim protector guarding an elite shooter. So to me, I always thought, I was like, man, these moves don't make sense to me, but let's see how it plays out. Played out exactly that way.
That the 5-1 pick and roll just absolutely diced them. They had no counter. They ran empty side, and when they ran empty side, the rotations on the weak side when they needed to get to the corner 3, like that was the thing, is like even when they covered the 2-man game well, it's bam, bam, Jeff Green, bam, bam, Bruce Brown. Like
KCP, a lot of KCP.
Sequence after sequence. And like this is the thing that you and I have been talking about, which is nothing works without Jokic. Okay, most important player, most impactful player. He's at the core of all of it. If you don't have guys that can hit those shots, it will break down. And look, I think Aaron, if the Nuggets advance, because I'm not going to say when, if the Nuggets advance, I think Aaron Gordon's going to play a huge part in the next series, regardless of who they face. Like, I think he'll have his moment, and he's had great playoff games, right? So many things happened in this game where it's like Jamal stepped up, Joker, who had a really bad, honestly, he had 5-6 bad quarters shooting the ball, just destroys them in the fourth quarter. Jamal, another 30+ performance. Like Jeff, KCP, everybody. And then on top of it, you have Michael Malone making the adjustment that I never thought he would get. I never thought he would make. What? You have him putting MPJ at 4, putting Jeff Green in basically at the 3, and spacing the floor. And like all of it came together. And like I was listening to some Lakers pods today. Darius Soriano does a really good one with Pete on Forum Blue and Gold. And it's one of the things that they talked about was the shot making, because they were just like, in those moments, there are some teams and some guys that do not hit those shots, and championship teams make those shots. And those high leverage shots, the Nuggets were just locked in. And, Pete said this on that podcast, the passes were all in the shooting pocket. Like, it wasn't sloppy. It wasn't just like, oh, you're going to have to make you catch it and then you're going to have to dribble and shoot an out of. No, like, everything was clean offense into the pocket, clean shot. Denver wasn't just better in terms of talent and overall team quality. They out executed the Lakers in that fourth quarter, and that's why they're up 3-0.
Strong agree. And then obviously Murray shot making, because I think like KCP, Michael Porter, those guys make shots, and KCP has had bad games in the series shooting and good games. And it's just, he had a good game at the right moment in game 3, but I don't think any of that was luck. If you're a Lakers fan and you want to point to one where you're like, that won't happen again, Murray's first half was a 30-point half. It was incredible. And I don't know if it'll happen again, but here's the piece I would say. It's very clear watching that game, if you're a Nuggets fan and have watched the Nuggets all year, that Murray had it going, and the Nuggets said, why go away from this?
Yep.
And Jokic, I thought in this game, was so interesting because you're right that he missed some shots. After the game, he was asked about a bad game. He's like, I thought I had a good game. I just missed a few shots. And sometimes I think that's it. Jokic always does the same other stuff, but he also usually makes shots also. And in this one, he didn't make his shots, but I still think he did some good stuff. But he didn't use a lot of energy running the offense because Murray was cooking.
Yeah.
And then he fouls out or gets 4 fouls halfway through the third, so he didn't use a lot of energy. And I was sitting there thinking when the Lakers didn't make a run, because I thought the Lakers were going to make a huge run at the end of the third. When they didn't, I thought, so Jokic has barely used any energy in this game. Those guys are dead tired, and Jokic's about to check in for a fourth quarter. I'll bet he cooks. 16 points in the fourth quarter. Absolutely cooked. Got exactly what he wanted. And that's why I say every game in a series takes on its own rhythm, its own personality. This game had one we didn't expect because who could have predicted it would have gone that way? But Denver just formed into what was needed to fulfill it, and they won the way that presented itself to them.
On the other side, we'll talk about all the other heroes from this game, including Michael Porter Jr., who played about as selflessly as possible, Aaron Gordon, who made a pretty huge sacrifice, and it's a testament to his willingness to do those kind of
big stories.
The big stories from this game as
well.
I'm
thinking those are big stories.
Yeah, they are big stories. We'll get into some of the other heroes from game 3 and what it means on the other side when we return on Locked On Nuggets. First, I'm going to tell you about PrizePicks. You got the $1 million daily Superflex promotion running every day throughout the NBA playoffs and all through the finals. One PrizePicks user will win a chance every day at becoming a millionaire. One entry placed after 8 a.m. Eastern will be randomly selected each day, and whoever placed that entry will be given a 6-pick flex with the following payouts. 6 correct picks equals $1 million. 5 correct picks equals $80,000. 4 correct picks equals $16,000. Full details can be found at prizepicks.com/million. You must opt in at that link, prizepicks.com/million, to be eligible for the $1 million entry. Once you opt in, all you have to do is play the game like normal, and you could be the lucky winner. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, they'll give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Whew, boy. You think the Lakers are going to lose to Denver? You think LeBron James is going to lose to Denver?
Let me ask you this one, Matt, because you are kind of a Denver guy, kind of not, in that you're not a fan, but you do cover the team locally, but you have a national perspective. Michael Malone playing this beat, which, by the way, people have really clapped back on. You want to know why? Because the media thinks they're the main story, and him like clapping back at them has them all feel in their feels about, well, why is he saying things about us? Which side do you fall on this? Because Denver now is a favorite. In fact, I think they're the odds-on favorite to win the title, and they were a slight favorite in this one. So, but then you just referenced, ESPN's main basketball podcast laughing at the idea that the Denver Nuggets might win the series, just might. It's possible. So do you think when Michael Malone is playing the nobody believes in us, we're so disrespected, all you guys want to talk about is the Lakers, fair, foul, somewhere in between?
It's fair. So there are, when we say the media, one of the reasons I always get like really itchy at that term is it lumps me in with everybody else and lumps you in with everybody else. And it lumps like
literally the entire world is media nowadays.
And like Vinny Goodwill hit me up and was like, I wrote after Jokic after game 1. Like what, he's like, I don't think Malone was talking about me. Like, it's like a good point. And
but he is though. I mean, here's the thing, Matt. There is a moment in very recent history where people realized the Nuggets were good. And I'm telling you, when I say recent history, I think it was after game 5 of the second round. Because even when I went back 2-2-2,
there's tiers here. Okay. Yeah. Like Zach Lowe knew in like last summer.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh, there's definitely people for sure.
I'm trying to think of like
Legler. I mean, there have been guys that have been like
Legler knew, right?
Big Waz, my guy, Big Waz.
Yeah, Big Waz. You get to the level of like, I'm trying to think of what a good comparison is. Like Tim McMahon and Tim Bontemps. Both those guys knew Denver was good.
No, I'm not giving him that one. I love both of those guys, but Bontemps, McMahon, when the playoffs started because he got put on Denver and he was a quick convert. Again, I always say this, when people come and cover the team, they see it because again, you kind of have to like really watch game to game and then you'll start to see it. But Bontemps, no. I mean, again, I think Bontemps was not a Nuggets are going to win the title. Bontemps was definitely that's a vulnerable 1 seed.
Okay. I don't know that I heard that. And I've had some conversations with him on the side, but it doesn't really matter. When we get to here, it's like, here's the thing. The very topmost of TV coverage is entirely people. And I'm sorry to use this. And I get like, there's lots of implications of this across spectrums. It's coastal people. I don't want to get into that. It's like, I don't know how to do this. Like it's people that either live in a studio in LA or they operate have a studio in New York. And those people are going to think that the teams that matter are the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Golden State Warriors. And that's it. Like, that's it. That's what they're going to think. And so, like...
But there's a reward system in place on this, though, Matt. I mean, there's a reason that there is a pipeline of, like, East Coast journalists that have come through the ranks, like, started as bloggers and then moved up becoming, like, major beat reporters and this or that. It's very hard to make it out of Denver because a lot of people aren't covering or interested in or consuming, therefore even the coverage. So I think part of this is, and again, I don't ever have like resentments about this towards people. This isn't, something I'm, even if naming a name or this or that, there is an incentive to write the story about the Lakers or Warriors that goes viral because people want it and then you're going to be known. Whereas if you do something about a smaller town, Oklahoma City Thunder right now or something like that, there's probably just not going to move up the rank. So I think that is a big part of it that people probably don't understand the mechanism.
Man, I will tell you, this one, it's been like on a long enough timeline, Nikola Jokic wins over everyone. Like it's been, and now we're at the point where everyone's just like, tip your cap, man. Nothing you can do. Like that team's great. Like Lakers fans who are always like, wow. Like even Lakers fans are just like, nothing you can say, man. They're better. That team's awesome. That's all anyone is saying right now. So it's like they've accomplished what they needed to in this, like the respect that Malone wanted, they've gotten. And
well, here's the thing I'll say about the Malone thing. This is why I brought it up. Number one, he's right. And things have changed dramatically in the last 3 games that Denver's now a favorite and has all this respect. But people want to act like you can say things about a guy in Jokic or a team in the Nuggets for 3 years and then in 3 games be like, hey, man, I gave them their flowers. I said they're good. It's like, no. You get to sit there now. We sat in the chair for all this time while you guys said, oh, he's the worst MVP since Dave Cowens, and this team is really just fraudulent, this or that. We sat for 3 years. Now you get to sit in the chair, and we're going to tell you about how wrong you were about everything. And so Malone gets that, and he gets to do that. But number two is when people came out of game 1, which is why I think Malone really got spicy, what they were saying was that Darvin Ham outcoached him. And I think that was the subtext to the Nuggets won, but if I'm the Lakers, I'm happy because they really outfoxed the Nuggets at the end of that game, and it's going to propel them. And I think Malone's sitting there going, I know what you're really saying, that I don't know what I'm doing, and that coach over there, even though he lost, does. So that's what made him spicy. But number 3 is every team needs an internal narrative. They need a story that they tell themselves that is the rallying cry that, hey, this is who we are. It's our identity. We are this group. And most teams, but especially the teams that aren't Lakers or whatever, the narrative is we're the underdog.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in us. So when Malone is doing that, he is sending messages to the people that said Darvin Ham's out coaching him or this or that. But he's really sending a message to his own team that, hey, stay with this narrative. And if you hear KCP yesterday after game 3, what's he saying? Nobody's believing us. Nobody's counting. These guys have internalized a narrative that has propelled them to this point, and you're not going to get them to stop just because it's hurting your feelings.
Resentment is a powerful steroid. Let's go back to the game. So we talked about Joker. We talked about the 2-man game and the mechanism of punishing that different coverage from the Lakers. Couple more things. Bruce Brown, man. Do you remember when Bruce Brown had like a terrible 3 months and we were like, boy, I don't know. Like
3 months? I don't remember that.
Like, I think we started probably saying like, man, Bruce is kind of struggling with bigger guys. And like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like the second
he didn't fix a bench unit.
Yeah.
Especially as a small forward.
And a lot of the complaints from us were about defense where we're like, man, he can't guard those bigger guys. Like,
right.
You know, and all these kind of things. And I said this to my wife, like, I think as good as I think MPJ has been, I kind of think Bruce has been the third best Nugget. I think it's been Jokic and then Jamal and then him. Like he's made huge play after huge play after huge play. Like that corner 3 where he did the ice in the veins right at the Lakers bench yesterday. Like that was a massive shot. Like that was absolutely incredible. So look, I've said that Jeff didn't need to play and like gave up on it. I just want to like take a small moment to be like, I said when they signed him, I was like, the reason you signed him is because there's going to be a playoff game where he hits a massive corner 3.
You think that's what happened in this game? I mean, his stats weren't what won it for him this game.
No, it was the
corner 4 points or 5 points.
No, it was just the corner 3, man. That corner 3.
Oh, just a one shot. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Like that corner 3 was massive. It was a huge shot. And LeBron kind of mentioned it after the game. LeBron talked about like, honestly, what really killed us was like all the other guys. It was Bruce Brown and KCPs and Jeff Green. He said even Jeff Green hit a big 3.
Yeah.
And like, that was absolutely killer. Also, I thought Jeff Green's block was absolutely amazing on that play where I don't think Jamal should have been called for a foul. That block was absolutely sensational. And look,
he played well. I think the bigger thing, and this is where I thought you were going to go with this, it's very clear that the Lakers need to stop playing D'Angelo Russell. It's very clear. He's been a major negative in every game. He gets targeted, and his offense doesn't hurt Denver. Denver's happy. If D'Lo started hot in this next game, I think Denver would be happy. Like, yeah, keep playing him because it's a net negative. And then, but he, by all accounts, the dynamic on the team is such that they don't feel they can. To close that game, KCP, who had a great third quarter, and Aaron Gordon, who's had a great year, both get benched so that Bruce and Jeff can close because it made more sense given the Lakers' game plan to have Jeff Green in the corner, a slightly better shooter and the same size, defender, and Bruce Brown, who was just bringing an extra speed and an extra gear. It made more sense to have him on the court, and Denver didn't think twice about it. They just went with it. The Lakers are 3 games into D'Angelo Russell being a total anchor on him, and they can't pull the trigger on it because they don't have the culture of it. And that to me was the biggest thing about this series and about this game. And it's laughable to think that these things don't matter, or like everybody just when they look at a series or anything, they just go player to player as if it's 5 one-on-one matchups. No, Denver has a system, an identity, a culture, and an understanding that they're just going to win however it takes. And they closed that game with 2 guys from the bench playing for them, and it worked.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And like Joker is the ingredient that makes all that go. He's the engine. He's a catalyst, whatever you want to use. But I'll also say that like Calvin Booth put together a team with championship DNA. Like that's what they put together is a team that the chemistry, the dynamics, it's not just like how you get along, but a lot of this, I will also say it's not just the guys that Calvin brought in. Malone gets a slice of this credit, and the players get the most slice of the credit. MPJ all year talked about like sacrifice, talked about like all of those things, and like how much that was a big deal. Yeah. How many times has MPJ sacrificed on this team? And when you see a guy
every day, every single day,
yeah. And when you see a guy making those sacrifices every day, and how much he sacrificed on the defensive end too, in terms of like how much he's worked to get better and do those things, where MPJ doesn't play in some stretches and then comes back in and plays well, all of these types of things, and like you see that that's the difference here. And like the Lakers have the problem of Ramona Shelburne reported after game 1 that the Lakers would have trouble benching D'Angelo Russell. That would not be, quote, received well. And they have to re-sign him because they can't do anything else with the contract unless they find a sign and trade partner. They need him to play ball, or they are just going to lose a player for nothing. And so like that's where the front office is probably like, you're going to keep playing him because otherwise we're going to lose him and then we're screwed next year. Like, these are all dynamics. And again, part of this also gets into, as much as people have wanted to really, especially that article from The Athletic, like bury Tim, like, I'll say this, like, Tim got those guys signed. Everybody on this team is under contract. They're all extended. They all got paid. Everybody's paid. The only guys that are not paid is Christian in year 1.
Yep.
And like the min guys. That's it.
Yep.
So all the key players are like, no, I can sacrifice because I got paid. Like, I'm taken care of. And that's part of that dynamic in the NBA.
And Michael Porter, I mean, we were talking about him, but this was sneaky one of his best games. I mean, he only shot, 4 of 11, but he goes for 14 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. It's just, they needed everybody to contribute in some way, and he keeps finding new ways. A career-high 6 assists. Just, to me, I'm so happy for Michael Porter, and I'm so happy that, like, he's getting the shine. I saw the post-game speech, where Malone kind of talks about every guy, and I just love – you could tell – the team is like, yeah, man, no, don't feel just because you went 4 of 11. Don't worry about that. Great game. Great game. You helped us win it. And you could even see in his face a little bit of a, like, you know what? Like the same pride you would have felt if he would have had 30 points.
Yes.
The same pride.
Yes. Like the extra passes that he made, all of those are shots that he can make.
Yeah.
And he made the extra pass to get a better look.
Yep.
That drive, I put it on our Twitter account at Locked On Nuggets. The drive, he goes coast to coast off a rebound. And at the very last second, LeBron the entire way is like, oh, this dude's going to shoot. I got him. I'm going to block him. Yeah. And he passes to Jokic and it was an incredible catch by Jokic because he has insane hands. He passes to Jokic and puts it in. Like, that's a winning play.
It was such a crazy pass that I thought he lost the ball and Jokic picked it up. Like, I actually thought it was a turnover. And then you see the replay and it's like, oh yeah, wow, good pass.
So yeah, like he contributes by sacrificing and doing all the other stuff. And then like, look, I looked this up. Jamal is now the 3rd leading all-time scorer in Nuggets playoff history. It's Jokic and then Alex English and now Jamal Murray. He passed Melo a couple games ago. And just like Jamal puts it, look, let's be honest, you and me. Jamal has that massive game 1, and we're like, okay, Jamal's probably going to struggle in another, like, we saw what happened in the Phoenix series. He has his massive game, and then like,
and he did, by the way, game 2, quarters 1 through 3, he was terrible.
But then,
and then incredible 4th quarter, like one of the best ever.
Yeah, and so like, and then I just want to say this, like Jamal has done this again, not feeling great, like he's been battling illness and all this stuff. He's been really up against it. And yeah, here we are. And he puts in another. He has 30 in the first half and absolutely cooks them. And in the 4th quarter, cooks them. Like, I just don't think you can give Jamal enough credit for being that guy on this stage. There are just, I mean, we look across and look at what's happening to Jason Tatum. And Tatum had 51 versus the Sixers, and he deserves credit for that. That was a huge moment for him, and he stepped up big time. But, like, for Jamal to be putting in these 30 burgers every single game against what was considered to be an elite defense, which I don't know how much that was true. But
it is true, though. No, man, I'm giving it to him. I will say this. They do make a lot of defensive mistakes. They are not an elite defensive, like, execution team. But they have Anthony Davis, who is and they have Dennis Schroeder, by the way, has been really good on ball.
Yeah, he's been really good.
He's been really good on ball. And then you've got Anthony Davis, who's obviously has been great. The thing is Denver just finds how you're vulnerable.
Yeah. I will also say this, like, Austin Reeves is and well, the other thing was like in that 4th quarter, I mean, it was just like, again, anytime that Jokic gets Davis on him, he just doesn't even feel him, man. Like, doesn't even, like, it's not even.
Well, Matt, what's funny is both Jokic and Murray in this series have targeted him. Like, you're not guarding me, here, switch, so he's guarding me, which is wild. It's just a wild thing to think.
Especially after, like,
for different reasons.
I don't know what to do. That was crazy.
I mean, for Jokic, getting Anthony Davis means there's no backside help, which is obviously big. And for Murray, getting him switched means he's out on the perimeter, nobody's inside. So there's secondary reasons for doing those, but it's still wild to think that Denver is in a position that they can say, oh yeah, best defender, that's fine, come dance with me.
How good do you think Michael Malone has been in the series?
I mean, really good. I think he's been locked in. It's funny, I asked him this the other day, Matt, at a practice in a very no pressure situation before, because I wanted an honest answer. I asked him, how has he improved as a coach with playoff experience under his belt now that he's been a head coach in the playoffs for 3 going now 4 seasons? And he answered it by saying, that's a good question. I don't really know. I don't know that I have. And I remember thinking that's such a strange answer to me, because I feel like, one, that he's become a significantly better coach over time. You have to imagine most people who care about their craft become better over time. So I thought that was kind of an interesting one, but I think he's been great.
Yeah. I think that I will say this. I feel like he is, and this ties into what you talked about with the ham stuff. I think there's a level to which for him, and I understand it. At some point you've got to be can I at least stop being talked about as liability? Can I get a little bit of credit for all of the success that we've had and all of these types of things? Were you sharing a comment on there, or was that actually?
No. I was trying to block a guy.
Okay.
And I accidentally picked the wrong one.
I also want to say that, by the way, there's a lot of comments in here about the Heat. I will say this: we are not taking any comments about any sort of future series until this one concludes.
Matt, is that because if it concludes tomorrow, we're going to have 10 days off?
Yes, in part.
I mean, we're going to have a quarter of an off season to prepare for a final.
Look, I also, I'll say this, this has been the Lakers fan and Celtics fans now take, which is somebody eventually is going to come back from 3-0, right? On the other side, we'll get into what it's going to take for Denver to make sure that the Lakers don't become that team. We'll do that on the other side when we return on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us on a Monday. You're probably listening to this if you're listening on the podcast. After the Nuggets take a 3-0 lead, man, I can't believe they won that game. What a freaking win. Just
the way it played out, though, I mean, like I said, it was that third quarter when the Lakers couldn't take advantage of the Jokic-less minutes. And not only did they not take advantage of them, but they looked like they burnt out.
Yeah.
I just was like, man, this team is done. What do they have for the fourth? And turns out nothing.
Yeah, there was a 10-3 run in there with 2 lineups. It was Bruce, KCP, Jamal, Aaron, and Jeff. And then
KCP, man, was so big with those shots. Yeah. Such timely shots.
Yeah. That's why you get them, man. That's why you do that trade. That's why you trade 2 pieces that were extremely important to the franchise over the last couple of years. Okay, so game 4. Lakers are still favored in this game. Because the power rating doesn't change. If you're wondering, how does that work? I will say the Heat are finally favorites in game 4 after just obliterating and embarrassing the Boston Celtics. The Lakers have nothing to lose. I don't know how much they're going to have left to bring because Denver, you can tell people have said this. Somebody else, I think it was Vinny tweeted this. But there's a point in a series where both teams realize who's better. And that was definitely, I think, the fourth quarter of
yeah, he said third, but I think it was the fourth. I think it was about 7 minutes in the fourth when Denver started the run that it was oh God. Because it happens like that. Here's the thing about the Lakers so far in the series, they don't have big runs. No. The only big run I could think of, I think it was second quarter of game 2, LeBron made a run, I think, against Denver's bench. And it was a pretty quick one. But outside of that, they don't make big runs. Denver has a bunch of them where it's just all of a sudden you screw up once or twice in a row, and next thing you know, it's an 11-0 run. And for the Lakers, it's just really tough.
I'll also say this. You know how often I've considered the Nuggets to be that team that makes it harder on themselves than they need to. I talked about the Phoenix series. I was they're going to lose game 5 at home and then close them out in 6. And instead they lost game 4 and then beat them in 5 and close it out in 6. I've talked about how much I've expected them to have these kind of struggles. And they are on the road, but like now they're 3-3, by the way, in the playoffs.
Hold on. How many letdown games do you think the Nuggets have had collectively as a team in this playoffs?
None.
I think one. I think it was game 4 against the
Wolves.
Remember, they came back at the end off a rally, but they were down they should have lost that game easier.
Their mentality is different. Like, this is a different. I have to throw out some of the stuff that I thought was inherent in their DNA based off of like what they've shown me. Again, like that game 3 performance is such a different level of champion. Like, that is of championship contender. That is different stuff. To go into LA against LeBron and AD. And again, like, I just keep saying this, like, look, the only reason these games are close is because Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura are literally shooting 60% from the field.
Right.
Like, if those guys start missing shots at all, these are blowouts. These are not competitive. And so I don't necessarily know that I feel like, I'll just ask you, how confident are you they close it out in 4 for the sweep?
So the one game I just mentioned that the Nuggets didn't play hard, game 4, up 3-0. So there is a level of, they played hard in game 3 against Phoenix and lost. They play hard because then it's only 2-1. So game 4 was important. They play hard and lost. Game 5 means everything, played hard. Game 6 means everything too, because you don't want to make it go game 7. So the only game where you could say they most just didn't need it and might have been fatigued, they did take off. So is there a chance that Denver tomorrow gives the first 80% effort of the series? I think yes. That being said, the Lakers have not played more than 2 games hard in a row and have never played the first 3 games of a series hard. They played so hard in all 3 of these games. They're 0-3. I'm not sure they have a whole lot left. And when I say they, I mostly mean LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So to me, if you ask me, I would say 55-45 confident that Denver closes this out, maybe even a little bit more than that. But I have entire confidence that they do it in the next 2 games.
Anthony Davis had a good counting stats game. I don't feel like he's been impactful for a single heartbeat in the series.
I thought he was impactful in like the first 18 minutes or whatever it was, like early on. But again, I just think he ran out of gas. I think because he had a couple really nice plays. He had the block on Jokic early on. Like, he had a pep in his step that expired very quickly.
But counting stats wise, he had a very good game in this one, but this is Anthony every other Davis. So like, there's a pretty decent chance that he's not going to be there for him.
He had 28 and 18. Wow, you're right.
Yeah. Again,
it wasn't that good.
Look, when he dropped 40, I think, in game 1, and somebody in the media room, not me, that'd be funny if I did that. If I was like, wow, somebody in the media room.
We don't know who the guy is that did this.
We're all looking for the guy who did this. But somebody in the media room was like, "AD had 40?" They're like, "That is the quietest damn 40 I've ever seen." And that was like this. And this is really the thing. And maybe this is like a hoops IQ thing where like you're seeing more than I am. Like, that's entirely possible. But like, I will just say, like, I don't much like Kevin Durant, I don't find him impactful.
Man, that's such an interesting comp. Mm-hmm. I think it's different because I think Anthony Davis is the type of guy that can be great on a better team, but in a weird way, I don't count on him to solve problems, if that makes sense. I count on him to create problems because he's like that kind of guy. But if you need him, that's the difference between him and Jokic. Jokic like can solve any equation. I don't think Anthony Davis solves anything. He just kind of does what he does.
He just kind of does what he does.
The Mo Bamba may be available, and maybe they go with him. It's kind of funny. The guy hasn't played in forever, so go guard the MVP is a pretty hilarious idea to like, that's going to slow him down. The only thing I'll say is it's just a variable. Anytime you can, when you're up against the ropes, like chaos sometimes is your best friend. And maybe he creates one thing when you were talking earlier about the defense. So I don't think they execute well, the Lakers. And I think that they lack size, especially if Anthony Davis is guarding Jokic or if he gets switched out onto guard. If the rotation guys are Schroeder, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, those guys, they have the same problem Denver has when they go small. They're not long enough to run out and contest shots. If you get Mo Bamba in there, does that help? Maybe. I mean, it probably just creates its own set of problems as well, but who knows?
Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley, pick and roll coming at you.
Yeah, Malik Beasley. I mean, this might be the game where they throw some stuff at the wall, and if it turns up snake eyes, it's like over before it gets started.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like Darvin gets to. Like, this is one of the benefits of him is just like he has so many guys that he can go to. And like, look, the Nuggets are running it now. Like they're down to 7 with Christian having a rough series. I think Christian will be. Somebody mentioned in the chat they think he could be better next series. Again, we're not going to talk about it, but I think that's something that we'll have a long time to talk about going forward. Okay, I want to ask you 2 questions.
Let me just say this one thing. I do think there is something too. If Denver is up or tied at half, there's just a really good chance that this team is.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's hard. Like the Nuggets have done the thing, which is like they've snatched their hope. Like game 3 was the hope, was like, oh, we're coming home, and then Murray goes off for 30, and they're just like I will say that like they've staged that comeback to get. But I will say this, like I watched that third and fourth quarter 4 times now, and like watching LeBron had and like the crowd had a sense too of just like they should be like, if you're gonna win this game, you needed to be up.
Yep.
Like you need to have it be like up by 6 and like crowds roaring, not scrapping to get a 1-point lead.
It's like a boxer throwing their entire arsenal, like emptying the chamber with all these combos, and the other boxer just takes it, and you're like, oh crap, I thought that was going to end the fight.
Having talked to you for as long as I have 2 questions for you as a Nuggets fan. One, it is an unprecedented, has never been done before 3-0 lead. How much of Nug life is rattling through your brain?
None.
You're just different. You're just in a different zone with this team.
I mean, those things are a good story, and they like kind of carry you along. But this is a different team, man. I mean, this team is so unbothered by the moment. And even last night, Jokic let out some emotion at the end halfway through the fourth quarter, towards the end of the fourth quarter, when they hit what was essentially the nail in the coffin to go up like 11. He let out some emotion after the game, man. This team is just kind of like, yeah, man.
When somebody said just one more win, and Murray said 5. Like
they just know that they're not surprised by this. And I think it's part of why even guys like you and me who have been high on the Nuggets all year, I think even they are. Remember I asked Murray this with like 10 days to go in the regular season. I said, is there anything else any boxes you need to check before the playoffs begin? And he said, no. And this was coming off the Nuggets being bad for a month at the end of the regular season. I'm kind of like, really? You don't need to get a rhythm or anything? And it was like, no, they knew. It was like, dude, we're good. We know how good we are. We can't prove it to you right now, but we will eventually. And I think that's what this is. So they win last night, and I just think their mentality is like 3-0. Thought maybe it would be 2-1, whatever, but doesn't matter. We're up 3-0. We knew we were going to win. We're going to close this out eventually.
Matt said we were cooked. Haven't forgot. Sir, catch on to the joke. Like, catch on to what's happening. Ask around. Ask your friends. My second question for you is this. Have you thought about, and like, look, there's no way that you like, as much as we're like, got to finish the series, one more, and like that, I will tell you, talking to people and with the Nuggets, same deal. They're just like, job's not done. Like that's the phrase, like constantly, job's not done. Have you thought about, look, it's not the championship, but like I'll just tell you, like when an unnamed team that I root for finally reached the championship game, I was really emotional because I never thought they were going to get there. Like, are you going to be emotional tomorrow night at the bar if they're able to accomplish this?
I think tonight last game was the emotional one. Like I said, I got goosebumps. I think that was the big one because, as you mentioned, nobody's come back from 3-0. But so I don't know. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say how you're going to feel. I don't know. It depends on the texture of the game. I mean, I think there is. I don't want to. Like you said, anything's possible. I think there is the game 4 has the highest probability for a blowout of all the games so far, just because it's so hard mentally to. Belief in yourself is such a big part of basketball at this level. I mean, there are players of equal talent level that are wildly different on impact because of their confidence, just because of confidence. And I think that a team down 3-0, being demoralized physically and exhausted as they are, and also just looking across at Denver and being like, every time we shut one thing down, something else pops up. I just wonder if they have belief. It's natural and it's human nature to doubt a little bit more when you're down 3-0. And if that's the case and Denver brings it, you're susceptible. You become susceptible. I like this one. I'll get emotional if Jokic and Jamal do. Murray's interview after the bubble to me was maybe one of the most emotional I've ever felt. And that wasn't a thing. Like, I was excited about the win and then emotional about the interview.
Yeah. I want to I've been asked about this because people do think I'm a Nuggets fan because I tweet so much about the team.
Right.
Like that is a perception. And I think that you're always kind of, I think you're tinted, like when you do the settings on a TV and you could turn the tint up, you kind of, my shade rolls a little bit blue and gold. Do you want to know when because I'm a very emotional person. It's one of the reasons I took off the second half of Twitter last night. When I start to think about them winning that title, and I mean this sincerely, Adam, like it's you and Brendan and Dev and D-Line and Harrison and the people.
That's awesome.
I've been coming to that arena with Harrison since he was he was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's all the people in this chat. It's all the people that have come up to me. It's Joel that found me at my kid's soccer game and came up to say hi. You guys deserve this.
It'd be crazy, man. I appreciate that.
And so, we'll see what happens. I'm not rooting for you, but I'll be happy for you if the outcome.
It feels so far away. And like I said, the first sweep in Nuggets history to be against the Lakers would feel so good. It would just feel like the best possible omen heading into the finals. But nonetheless, I'll say this. Lakers fans never get to know what it feels like to be a Denver fan. They'll never get to experience it. And I feel bad. That's why when they do the We Believe stuff, I'm always like, I get it. You wish you could feel like this.
Yeah.
You wish, but it's the trade-off. Like, we don't get to feel what it's like to win 17 championships and to always think your team has a chance. And, maybe LeBron will come here next year and maybe this guy will come here. Like, we don't get to experience that. And they don't get to experience this. They traded away Lonzo Ball, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram. All their young pieces that they were so in love with early on, they traded them away. Denver stuck with theirs, and it take a little bit longer, and the payoff is as great as they could possibly imagine it. They'll just never get to experience themselves.
I feel like we're going to have to do a summer show where we just go back and we just do like a running commentary on this game again because it was so massive. I feel like we couldn't get our brains around it. Thanks for joining us. Have yourselves a great Monday. Enjoy Game 4. If you're looking for somewhere to watch it, go to the DNVR bar because apparently it's off the chain. You're going to want to get there early because apparently – did you have to turn people away? Is it out the door yet?
Turn people away. Well, one thing I'll say is, so the bar yesterday, I mean, it's Monday, so it'll be different. This was a Saturday. 2 hours before tip-off, all the tables were full. And then a bunch of people left because they didn't want to stand. I will say this. Get there 2 hours early if you want a table, or get there 5 minutes early if you want to stand, but don't leave. Because yesterday it was packed. Everybody was standing by the end of it, and it was a spiritual experience to be in that bar for those moments.
All right. Have yourselves a great Monday. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe. Give us the 5-star reviews. Hit the like button on YouTube. Good luck to all Nuggets fans in Game 4. We'll see you guys again on Tuesday morning. No, I will do a post-game show tomorrow night. I should have done one after Game 3. You
don't want to do one tomorrow morning?
Do you?
We'll figure it out after this.
All right. Regardless, I will have a post-game show after Game 4. We'll do that, and then we'll have another show on Tuesday morning as well. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at Locked On Nuggets. I've got some clips up there if you want to see some of the awesome plays from Game 3. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.